Greetings and welcome to the Danklit Podcast. It's me, your host, horror author Stanley J. Winter, and do I have a special treat for you? So I said in the last episode that I'd be broadcasting from somewhere very special, and I didn't lie. I am at Whitby Abbey, and it doesn't get more special than that. It's just after sunrise, about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to be reading from today, none other than Dracula by Bram Stoker. I've been in Whitby for quite a few days now, and Robin Hood's Bay, been there too, and I absolutely love it. If there is such a thing as a spiritual homeland, I think Whitby is probably mine. I love the kind of intricate little streets. It reminds me of Venice quite a lot, Whitby. I absolutely love it. I love the smell of fish and chips. I love being by the sea. Also reminds me of Blackpool too. Blackpool and Venice. How do they go together? But they kind of do here. I absolutely love it. I love the Gothic connection too. And yesterday I went to the Whitby Museum and saw they've got a hand of glory there, which is a dead, withered hand, hundreds of years old, cut off. A hanged man on the gallows in the dead of night and preserved, and they believe it was used as a candle. So criminals used to fill it with wax and light the fingers like candles, and if one finger wouldn't light, it meant that someone was still awake in the property they were about to burgle and they couldn't go in. Very, very cool. But today, as I said, I'm at Whitby Abbey. It's very, very beautiful. Weather's gorgeous. And I'm going to read from Dracula. So I'll get straight into the extract today because I don't need to tell you the plot of Dracula. Everyone knows the plot of Dracula. By the way, saw a really good theatre performance here the other day. They had a small theatre company called Time Will Tell Theatre, I think, and performing the whole of Dracula in and around the Abbey. It was absolutely wonderful. Definitely check them out. So I'm going to read the bit where Lucy Westenra gets her head chopped off because, as always, I try and pick the kind of nastiest, darkest, most horrific extracts that I can. Feminists love this, love talking about this scene because obviously it's the men kind of ganging up on the sort of Lilith-esque Lucy, the Lilith-esque Lucy compared to the sort of Eve-like Mina. Lucy is out there. She's got a flaming red hair. She's stealing away children. She has more than one male interest at the start of the play, the novel. Sorry. She is a bit of a badass, and she's a cool vampire as well. So I'm going to read this extract of her, of them saving, in inverted commas, Lucy from her vampiric fate. So, she seemed like a nightmare of Lucy as she lay there. The pointed teeth, the blood-stained, voluptuous mouth. Stoker uses the word voluptuous about 8 times describing Lucy Westenra in this bit, which I think is quite telling. Which it made one shudder to see, the whole carnal and unspiritual appearance seeming like a devilish mockery of Lucy's sweet purity. Van Helsing, in his methodical manner, began taking the various contents from his bag and placing them ready for use. First, he took out a soldering iron and some plumbing solder, and then a small oil lamp which gave out, when lit in a corner of the tomb, gas which burned a fierce heat with a blue flame. Then his operating knives, which he placed to hand, and at last a round wooden stake, some 2.5 or 3 inches thick and about 3 feet long. That's pretty long. One end of it was hardened by charring in the fire. 3 feet long, it's like a fucking spear. And was sharpened to a fine point. That works, by the way. That's how they used to sharpen spears, isn't it? The ends of spears by charring the wood in a fire. With this stake, you'd think it'd crumble, wouldn't you? But I guess if you don't do it too much, it just goes a bit crispy. I don't know, pointy and crispy. With this stake came a heavy hammer, such as in households is used in the coal cellar for breaking the lumps. Yeah, that's a heavy fucking hammer there. And obviously, they mean business. To me, a doctor's preparations for work of any kind are stimulating and bracing. Yeah? But the effect of these on both Arthur and Quincy was to cause them a sort of consternation. So, of course, this is John Seward's diary here at this point. He's the one speaking. We're in the tomb. We've got Van Helsing there with his gear. We've got Arthur, who is Lucy's kind of beloved, and Quincy, the American, Quincy Jones, the American cowboy, is there as well. All strapping young lads, all ready to kill the vampire. They both, however, kept their courage and remained silent and quiet. Of course they did. When all was ready, Van Helsing said, "Before we do anything, let me tell you this. It is out of the law and experience of the ancients, and of all those who have studied the powers of the undead. When they become such, there comes with the change the curse of immortality." Not really a curse, is it? Sounds pretty good to me. "They cannot die, but must go on age after age, adding new vampires and multiplying the evils of the world." I mean, everyone would be a vampire, wouldn't they? There'd be loads. "For all that die from the preying of the undead become themselves undead and prey on their kind." That's very different, isn't it, to a lot of later vampire stories, particularly the Anne Rice ones, where you don't just have to be killed by a vampire. They're not like zombies. You have to actually a vampire has to decide to do what Anne Rice calls the dark trick, to turn them in consciously, with effort, turn them into a vampire. It's quite a tricky process. It doesn't just happen instantly. And I guess that's one way of getting around the fact that, like I said, everyone would just end up being a vampire at some point. And so the circle goes on, ever widening, like as the ripples from a stone thrown in water. "Friend Arthur, if you had met that kiss which you know of before poor Lucy died, or again last night when you opened your arms to her, you would in time, when you had died, have become Nosferatu, as they call it in Eastern Europe, and would all time make more of those undeads that they have so filled us with horror." That kind of implies, doesn't it, that they're a bit like zombies, and that even if you're bitten, like, because he was going to go and kiss Lucy, even if she'd just bitten him, then when he would have died, in time it says, he would then eventually become a vampire. That's quite different to a lot of more recent vampire lore, isn't it? It is more kind of zombie-ish, I guess. So yeah. Or again last night, when you open your arms to her, you would in time, when you had died, have become Nosferatu, as they call it in Eastern Europe, and would all time make more of those undeads that have so filled us with horror. The career of this so unhappy dear lady is but just begun. Those children whose blood she sucked are not as yet so much the worse, but if she live on undead, more and more they lose their blood, and by her power over them they come to her, and so she draw their blood with that so wicked mouth. But if she die in truth, then all cease. The tiny wounds of the throats disappear, and they go back to their plays, unknowing ever of what has been. Yeah, so that's kind of contradicts what came before, doesn't it? So that if the children had just bitten a little bit, then it's not that bad. But surely they would, when they eventually died, become a vampire based on what Stokes said before. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I've got that wrong. I've thought about it a lot. I've done a bit of research around it, and I can't see any explanation for that contradiction, really. Anyway, if Lucy dies, like, all the kind of evil work is undone magically. It kind of disappears. Her influence is over. It's like she has a gradual influence upon these beings. And I guess the fact they're children, she's quite a weak vampire. She's quite new to the craft, as it were. So it's understandable that children would be her first victims. But again, it adds to that Lilith-esque portrayal of Lucy. She's a threat to children. It also gives them even more of a motive, I guess, to kind of stop her in her tracks. They have a duty to do it because she's actually harming innocent children. "But of the most blessed of all, when this now undead be made to rest as true dead, then the soul of the poor lady whom we love shall again be free." Well, that's all good if you believe in a soul, but if not, she's kind of fucked, isn't she? I don't know, maybe better off as a vampire. "Instead of working wickedness by night and growing more debased in the assimilation of it by day, she shall take her place with the other angels, so that, my friend, it will be a blessed hand for her that shall strike the blow that sets her free. To this I am willing, but is there none amongst us who has a better right? Will it be no joy to think of hereafter in the silence of the night, when sleep is not, It was my hand that sent her to the stars. It was the hand of him that loved her best, the hand that of all she would herself have chosen, had it been to her to choose. Tell me, if there be such a one amongst us. We all looked at Arthur. He saw too what we all did, the infinite kindness which suggested that he should be the hand which would restore Lucy to us as a holy and not an unholy memory. He stepped forward and said bravely, though his hand trembled and his face was pale as snow, "My true friend, from the bottom of my broken heart, I thank you. Tell me what I am to do, and I shall not falter." Van Helsing laid a brave hand on his shoulder. So this is another reason why academics like this scene, because they kind of see it as a weird, violent sexual consummation of their marriage, which of course never happened. So Arthur was to be married to Lucy. She was stolen away from him by obviously Dracula, and nothing was consummated there, but he's the one who gets to drive a stake into her. Of course, lots of phallic imagery there. So Van Helsing says, "My true friend, from the bottom of my broken heart, I thank you. Tell me what I am to do, and I shall not falter." Sorry, Arthur said that. Van Helsing said, "Brave lad, a moment's courage, and it is done. This stake must be driven through her. It will be a fearful ordeal, be not deceived in that. But it will only be a short time, and you will then rejoice more than your pain was great. From this grim tomb you will emerge as though you tread on air, but you must not falter when once you have begun. Only think that your true friends are round you, and that we pray for you all the time." "Go on," said Arthur hoarsely. "Tell me what I am to do." "Take this stake in your left hand, ready to place the point over the heart, and the hammer in your right. Then when we begin our prayer for the dead, I shall read him. I have here the book, and the others shall follow. Strike in God's name, that so all may be well with the dead that we love, and that the undead pass away." Arthur took the stake and the hammer, and when once his mind was set on action, his hands never trembled nor even quivered. Van Helsing opened his missal and began to read, and Quincy and I followed as well as we could. Arthur placed the point over the heart, and as I looked I could see its dint in the white flesh. Nice bit of detail. Then he struck with all his might. The thing in the coffin, so Lucy's a thing now, obviously depersonalised, dehumanised, in the coffin writhed. This is the cool bit. And a hideous, blood-curdling screech came from the open red lips. The body shook and quivered and twisted in wild contortions. The sharp white teeth champed together till the lips were cut, and the mouth was smeared with a crimson foam. It's almost like the fangs don't quite fit in a mouth, isn't it? Because it'd be quite hard to make your lips bleed from champing your teeth, but the fangs obviously jut out and sort of shred the lips. Very cool. But Arthur, and the foam is a good image too, isn't it? Smeared with a crimson foam, almost like a rabid animal here. But Arthur never faltered. He looked like a figure of Thor as his untrembling arm rose and fell, driving deeper and deeper the mercy-bearing stake. So the Thor reference, I think it's a particular reference to the Swedish image of Thor battling the frost giants, the very sort of Aryan Thor raising his hammer, battling the frost giants. Has a little tash, I believe, in that painting, which is cool. And obviously frost giants are associated with kind of evil and darkness, as is Lucy at this point. And of course Thor is sort of banishing the evil, battering out the evil, driving deeper and deeper the mercy-bearing stake, whilst the blood from the pierced heart welled and spurted up around it. His face was set, and high duty seemed to shine through it. The sight of it gave us courage, so that our voices seemed to ring through the little vault. And then the writhing and quivering, of the body became less, and the teeth ceased to champ, and the face to quiver. Finally, it lay still. The terrible task was over. Okay. And that's it. So, very violent act. But this is seen as a blessing. They've set Lucy free. But I wonder, I love the vampire as an image because, for me, it represents, as a Satanist, it kind of represents the fierce individuality of the fierceness of the individual against the masses, against the mob. And vampires often get into trouble, don't they, when they try and join up with other vampires. But when, as Anne Rice calls it, they ride the devil's road, they remain independent, things usually go much better for them. They have a good adventure, but when they start banding together in sort of little communities and covens, often it goes wrong, certainly in Anne Rice anyway. But yep, Lucy's gone, Lucy's dead, can't do any more harm, and this is seen as good. But I wonder, would she have had more fun as a vampire? I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. If you want to check out my website, you can do at www.enterthedank.com. I'm here at Whitby Abbey, here for a few more days, sucking up the sun, and thanks for joining me.